Jesus H. Christ. When I was a boy, every little squirt wanted to be a harpooner or a sword fisherman. What do you got here? Portable shower or a monkey cage?
Anti-shark cage.
Anti-shark cage. You go inside the cage. Cage goes in the water. You go in the water. Shark's in the water. Our shark. Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.
Yipee-Ki-Yay, Mr. Falcon.
So I know we've talked about Jean-Claude Van Damme a lot.
Yes.
And
I love Jean-Claude.
Yeah, we did a deep introspective episode about Bloodsport. Are you a fan of Kickboxer? That's him too,
man.
right?
Yep, that's him.
Man,
in his high-waisted pants.
I saw the trailer for that recently because it's on one of the streamers, and I think I have been mixing up a lot of his early movies in my head. I think I remember this one a lot for some reason.
It's got that infamous dance fight.
Is that what this was? Is that where that one's from?
Yeah,
it's
he's
Kickboxer?
dancing.
I thought that was a different
two women
one.
in the bar. I'm pretty sure it's Kickboxer.
I'm gonna have to investigate. I don't know if I want to find out, but I don't know. I keep seeing it. It has another subtitle now. I thought it was a sequel, but it seems like it's the original. I don't know. I thought you would know.
Man.
I thought you would know
You
the
gotta
lore.
watch it. I know that one. That one's not as high up in my Jean-Claude canon as some of the other ones. I've seen it. I enjoyed it. I've seen it more than once, but there's a few others that I just watched to death.
Yeah, the internet's been throwing a lot of movie shit at me lately that I'm not prepared for, that I'm not asking for, and it upsets me. It's raping my face. I don't like it.
Good Lord.
Yeah. It sent me a Ghostbusters thing that I didn't appreciate. And I was
the internet sent you a Ghostbusters
like a meme
fact.
It was like a factoid, but it made me think of something else, and I wondered if I'd ever told you. And I texted you something, and if I had told you about this, you would have known, but you didn't, and so you don't. So I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
This is mostly pointing to Dan Aykroyd being an extremely sick, weird fucker. And we talked about how there was a lot of lore and shit behind the Ghostbusters story that Aykroyd kind of came up with that never ended up anywhere. Like, the original script for Ghostbusters was fucking crazy.
I've heard it's insane.
Yeah, they go to hell. Like, it's more like some of the crazy shit that ended up in the cartoon, honestly.
The cartoon's amazing.
I just got it. Did I tell you this?
No.
I bought it on DVD. The
real Ghostbusters?
Yes, the whole cartoon, the whole series. I haven't done anything with it yet, but I have it. I used to watch that religiously, man. Religiously.
Dude, I had no voice the other day because I found for my kids saw it and loved it, and they loved Slimer, and I found this Slimer stuffed doll, and one day, and then just as a dad, I've learned that if you do something that your kids think is funny, be prepared to do it for 20 straight minutes.
Oh God!
So just off the cuff, I just started making the Slimer doll fly at him. I was just going, just doing the Slimer voice.
Noise.
And, yeah, the Slimer noise. I thought I did a pretty good Slimer noise. So did they. And then I just had to do that for a half hour. And yeah, after a while, it was I can't speak anymore, man. My voice is gone.
So they just saw a random episode of the old cartoon?
Well, they saw the movie and they were like,
the original?
that was... Yeah, they watched it. they liked it, and I was like, "You guys want to see the cartoon?" And they're like, "Yeah, there's a cartoon." So yeah, I found it, and they loved it.
It was a weird dichotomy to grow up with. I was really into the Ghostbusters. And it was kind of strange to have, you know, the movie cast and the cartoon cast in your head when you were little. Because they were so different. Like, they were the same basic archetypes, but their voices, their appearance, it was completely different. Hell, they all wore different colors in the cartoon. That was strange.
Yeah, you had to color code them.
Did you?
Well, they had an episode where they explained.
There was a flashback, and they were all wearing the tan ones from the movie, right?
Yeah, and they asked somebody to get rid of the uniforms because they had absorbed too much psychoactive energy.
Yeah, I knew that there was some rationale for getting rid of the tan ones. That was so satisfying to see that episode as a kid that like tied it together a little bit. It was like great.
I'm sure I saw that, but like I didn't pay attention to it until this last time I just watched it. I was like, oh my God, they did a callback to the movie.
I'm going to have to watch. It's going to be weirder for me to rewatch it because I don't have, kids as an excuse. So I'm just going to have to sit here and watch a cartoon. I did show my wife an episode not too long ago because she didn't grow up with this. I showed her, I think I found it online. I showed her the episode where they fight the boogeyman in the closet dimension. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Like Egon has this
that
deep
shit
fear.
was freaky.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a crazy one. I'm like, I just want to show you how far this show would go sometimes. And she's like, God damn, dude. I'm like, yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, he wasn't like a ghost. He was like a weird, like cross between a monster and a game show host, kind of.
Kinda. He had a giant head and he had like small cloven hoof legs, and he came out of your closet as the boogeyman is wont to do.
Bizarre.
But when they went into the closet, it was like this parallel dimension with a door to every closet in the world.
It was Monsters, Inc.
It was, it was Monsters, Inc. Way before Monsters, Inc. But it was the same fucking idea, man. It was the same thing, just scarier. I found something out. I went to a Halloween party about 10 fucking years ago, and I put together a Ghostbusters costume. And in doing so, I found something out about this costume that harkens back to what I was saying about Aykroyd's fucking weirdness. If you actually look up like Ghostbusters uniform or Ghostbusters costume details or something like that, right? There's always this component that confused me. There's a hose. There's like a random hose on the uniform, and it connects to like a metal port that's in the jumpsuit, like around the hip area, right? And then it like swoops down by the knee and like comes back up somewhere around the back. And it kind of looks like a wallet chain made out of like surgical hosing, tubing.
Okay.
All right. Have you ever noticed this? This is the movies. This isn't the cartoon. This is the movies.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing some bit of tubing. I mean, I think I've noticed it.
It's yellow in the original, and in the sequel, it's clear. All right. Now, there was no explanation for it in a lot of the costume shit. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I looked it up. Aykroyd actually meant for it to be a piss hose. A Ghostbusters piss hose.
Like a catheter?
I guess, I know back in the early days of the NASA program and in some experimental flights and shit, they had flight suits that it wouldn't be a catheter, but it would be like a dick hose, like a thing that went on your cack.
There's like a catheter you get in the hospital where they put something like.
It's not that. It's not.
And then there's one called like a condom catheter.
Yeah, there you go.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I know that from The Expanse.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember that detail, but I read that too. Okay. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, and it's supposed to be because they got literally scared so much and so badly by the things they would run into that they would often
Oh
piss
my god, that
themselves.
they might pee their pants.
And this was to
That's kind of funny.
maintain some dignity. It was like just a professional. I guess instead of wearing Depends, they wore a condom catheter,
And you would just like
and there
pee
was an
out of
external
the
piss
back of the
hose.
tube.
I don't know where it went. I don't know if there was a bag hanging out in the under
Hey,
the
man.
proton pack.
As long as it wasn't in your britches.
I
Maybe
suppose
it could have been. Maybe it could have been coolant, for the proton pack.
No, man. Aykroyd said it was a piss hose.
No, I mean like like that's where it went.
Oh,
They turned it into coolant.
yeah. No, this isn't Dune. Okay,
Pee powered.
this isn't Dune. There's no shit in the thigh pads. They poop themselves. It goes into the thigh pads and powers the trap. No, I don't like it.
It does. That's crazy. That's crazy. But it does kind of make sense when you consider that you might pee your pants a little if scared by a interdimensional horror made of ectoplasm, but also like you think about what that movie was supposed to be, and they were astronauts in the original screenplay.
Okay.
Did you ever hear this story? Before it was Ghostbusters, what it really was, they were astronauts.
No, I never heard the astronauts part.
Yeah,
I heard
they
that
were
they were supposed to go to hell and go to different dimensions and shit, but I never heard astronauts.
I think before they turned it into what it was, where they catch ghosts, they were astronauts that were going to be traveling through time or something. And when you think about what you said, about them being essentially flight suits, you would have something like that, especially if you're an astronaut. You can't just
That's a whole
stop
different
at the
movie,
urinal.
though. It's a
It
whole
sure
different
is.
film. What they should have done is they should have worked this deeper into the plot. When they first fight Slimer in the hotel, they should have all pissed themselves at one point. When Venkman gets slimed in the hallway, just huge stain spreads on this thing, and then he gets slimed. And then they're all walking around by the end of it with their
They've all peed
jumpsuits
themselves.
piss stained, just right down both legs. And then then they start rocking the hose.
And they're like, we gotta do something about this.
Yeah, they show up and someone takes a photo and they end up in the New York Post and they're covered in piss and they're like, we can't. This is our image. We can't do this. And Aykroyd's, let me tell you
Could've
about this
worked.
condom catheter thing I got. Why do you have that, Ray? Well, I don't have to tell you
I
that.
could just hear Dan Aykroyd you tried holding in your bowels when you're being assaulted by from another dimension.
I don't know, man. That fucking ghost, the librarian ghost, was pretty fucking scary when you were 8.
Terrifying.
Do you know that was from Poltergeist?
What the model they used?
That creature was left over from Poltergeist, and they didn't use it because they thought it would be too fucking scary for Poltergeist.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Spielberg's a wuss.
That was scary.
Tree rape. The boy in Poltergeist got raped by that tree. You know he did.
Oh God.
You know he did.
Oh man. We can't talk about Poltergeist. Freaked me out so bad. That
Really?
movie ruined me. I hated it. Just
I
it was.
know that.
It scared the living shit out of me when I was little.
Oh, wow. Yeah, do you rewatch it? Have you?
No.
I know how you stay away from things that scared the shit out of you as a kid.
No, I never. I saw that movie once, and I was like, not doing that again.
What? Oh man.
This house is clean.
Have you ever seen the sequels?
Yeah, I've seen Poltergeist 2. That was it.
That's kind of a rough one. That's the creepiest one. It's got that creepy preacher dude, and Craig T. Nelson has to throw up the worm from the tequila bottle.
We talked about this in
I
another
know.
episode. That part.
It's gruesome. It's gruesome. I didn't know you were that way about Poltergeist. You could see the
forget
remake. That's not scary at all. Even a little bit, and I love Sam Rockwell, but it was real bad.
This is not good.
No, it was not good. All right, Ghostbusters piss hose. That's the mystery of the Ghostbusters piss hose. Remember that the next time you watch it. They're all just pissing
hose.
the whole time, just pissing.
I mean, I could see it.
I'm going to accept
Listen,
it. What?
Yeah, I mean, especially in light of the fact that your job requires you to routinely go up against undead horrors, that could do you serious harm.
Like, I don't know.
You might have a little piddle.
A little piddle. I've never run into a ghost, so I don't know. I'll let you know how it goes. The internet threw something else at me that really pisses me off, and it's not about piss. It's about cooking. And
Cooking?
yeah, it's about cooking. You've seen Goodfellas, right?
Of course.
All right. The fucking part when they're all in prison, and Paulie's cutting the fucking garlic with the razor blade.
He would cut it so thin, it would just melt in the pan.
Thank you. Yes, that's the part. Well, jerk-offs on the internet are posting that scene or a picture of that scene, and then just I fucked up and I looked at the comments, and I know I shouldn't do that, and it's a horror-scape of just the worst of humanity in every comment section, but I did, and I got a little annoyed at everyone talking about how this isn't a viable way to cook, and how it's not true, and how Paulie's an asshole, and how they're wondering how Scorsese could have done this, not knowing how cooking works.
They have a gripe with how Paulie.
They have a gripe with how Paulie cut the garlic, and with how it's described by the voiceover in what you just said about how it dissolves in the pan.
It would liquefy or something because it was so thin.
Yeah,
I remember that part. So I'm guessing well, technically speaking, if one were to cut, the people are seriously arguing about that in the comment section.
Yeah, and they're just kind of shitting on the movie for being inaccurate somehow.
You read it,
huh?
And you read it.
Yeah, I read it, and I got
why?
Oh, man, I don't know. I think I'm a masochist sometimes. I think I do this to hurt myself. I hate people so much, man.
Well, what were they saying?
That's the thing. It's nothing ever specific. It's just like knowing that this isn't right and this isn't good and this is not the way one cooks. But no one ever actually took a second to think about the fact that why the fuck they're using a razor blade in the first place.
Yeah, they don't give you knives in prison.
Thank you. And they didn't have fucking disposable razors back then, so they still gave prisoners razors to shave. They didn't have a fucking kitchen knife.
No, or a kitchen.
The guy turning the steaks in the pan had a fork. That's it. Yeah, it's not like they had a whole kitchen. It was like a couple hot plates on a fucking table in some storeroom.
Yeah.
And
so
you
cut with what you got.
And I hate that. I mean, the right way to do it would be to mince it, I guess. But
yeah, they also don't hand out garlic mashers when you go into the clink.
And I'll tell you, slicing garlic thin is a perfectly good way to cook it in sauce because it's going to simmer for a long time and it's going to have plenty of time to break down. So, fuck you, Instagram, and all your shit. And if you see that fucking meme, just shut up. Just shut up. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. Just shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to hear what we have to say. We're recording it and sending it out into the world, and 50 people listen. It's nice. Do that instead.
I did always notice in Goodfellas how much they talk about what they're cooking.
Yeah, it's a big part of life in an Italian household.
I just always thought it was funny that this guy's narrating his whole experience with the mob, and they spend a lot of time saying whatever it is they were cooking at the time. And he's Paulie cutting the garlic. And then when his whole life is unraveling and he's talking about first I had to put the pork butt in the pot, to let the sauce start. And he's going on and on about this pork butt and making the sauce.
and how someone's got to stir the sauce. You got to stir it. If you don't stir it every 15 minutes, it's going to stick, and then it's going to burn, man. And it's going to darken the sauce, and it's no good. It's no good.
Yeah. Did they have a problem with that?
No, the internet didn't have a problem with that fucking part, no.
Well, technically, you can leave it for up to 20 minutes.
I thought they were going to get pissed off about, Paulie's really crowding the pan when he's cooking the sausage and peppers there. Yeah, that's not fucking jerk-offs. I'll tell you, man.
I liked it. I thought it was a little, like a nice little callback to The Godfather,
Yeah,
when, what's his name?
Clemenza.
Clemenza, when he's telling him how to make the sauce. He's like, first you put in your tomatoes, you add your sugar, you pour some wine.
A little bit of wine. You throw in your meatballs and sausage. And that's
your
my
sausage.
trick. It's actually a perfectly decent
Tell her you love her,
recipe.
Michael. Come on. Tell her you love her.
I love you with all my heart. If I don't see you soon, I'm gonna die. Huh? We should watch that, man. Holy shit. One time I had a Godfather party here when we first moved into this house, and we had a couple friends over from college, and we watched the first two back to back, and I made this huge like Sunday gravy dinner for us to eat in between the movies. It was fantastic.
Sounds excellent.
That was many moons ago.
I have had the distinct pleasure of enjoying your Italian cuisine. You came over one night and you made like an all-day gravy for pasta.
A long time ago, yeah.
That shit was fantastic. It was really good.
I've gotten much better. You had my, I made homemade pasta for you one time when you came over not too long ago.
Yeah, you made like pappardelle?
Mm-hmm, yep. And you said you didn't like ones that were really wide, so I made them a little thin.
I said
See,
that.
I remember.
I did not mean to be picky. It was phenomenal.
You said you went to some crazy restaurant and they had like 6-inch wide pappardelle that they served you, and it was impossible to eat.
It was like, this is like a fucking lasagna noodle, man.
I just got, I found eBay advertised something at me because I buy a lot of movies on eBay still, discs, and it was The Godfather, a novel for television, which is back in the day they aired the first movie and the second movie cut together chronologically with like...
Oh, yeah. You told me about this.
But the cool thing about it is that there was all this extra footage added, all these deleted scenes cut back into the narrative. And there was really no way to get it for a very long time. HBO aired a fixed up version of it not too long ago, but they never... It was there to stream for a while, but this is back when like on demand was still a thing, you know? And then it vanished. They never put it on disc or anything. So I saw this thing. It was like, it had the AMC logo on it, right? And it was like, novel for television. It said exactly what it was, and cover looked legit and everything. So I got it because it was $20. And it showed up.
$20.
$20, right? Ridiculous, right? This thing shows ridiculous. Up. And I look at it, and it look, other than a line of Chinese characters down the spine, it looks legit. I open it up, and there's 2 discs in there, and they have logo art and everything. And then I look at the bottom, and they're like purple. They were absolutely burned discs. Absolutely.
Yeah. Did they work?
I put the first one in, and I'm like, this isn't going to fucking play. And it's reading for like 4 minutes. I'm like, this fucking thing isn't going to play.
It's like the wrong region.
Then it started. It started up. It started right up and started playing. I was like, son of a bitch. And I went through it, and yeah, it's exactly what it was supposed to be. So I texted Vinny, right? And I sent him a picture of this. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is a bootleg from eBay, but it worked. You know what he said? He's like, I got the same one. It definitely is. It's definitely a bootleg, but it does its job. So
it'll get you there.
I got it. It's fine. Whatever. Speaking of classic movies, there's a super classic from when, God, before we were young. It's turning 50 this year. this summer. There's all kinds of shit going on. Jaws. 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 Have you ever read the book, Peter Benchley?
I have not.
No.
I have not. I've thought about it a bunch of times. I always forget that I want to do that. I would like to read that book.
Lenny just redid our bookshelves, which is a monumental fucking undertaking. And
you have a lot of books.
Most of them, it's mostly her library, but we do have a lot.
I'm jealous.
And I saw, apparently at some point, I go to a lot of used bookstores with her, and she knows what she's looking for, and I just usually meander around and find something. Apparently at one point I bought a paperback of Jaws with it was an early printing of the paperback version. Didn't even know I had it. And I started reading it this week. So maybe I will accomplish that goal. But I've never read it either. It does start the same way as the movie. So there's that.
The beach party?
Yeah. Actually, it's like a house party. It's not really like a campfire on the beach. It's the couple sneaks out of the house that they're staying in with friends. But it's the same deal. I guess they know each other a little bit better than the couple in the movie. So what?
Instead of just like a beach introduction, like, what's your name? Chrissy.
Yeah, right. They're literally.
What are you doing? Swimming.
We're going swimming. I'm pretty drunk. So, do you remember anything like when the first time you saw Jaws, or do you have any like childhood memories caught up with it or anything like that?
Oddly enough, I can't pinpoint when I first saw it. It was just like always around. It must have been one of those things I saw when I was so young. I can't remember the first time I saw it, but yeah, we watched it a lot. It was just always on.
It was, wasn't it? It was on TV a lot. It was the cut version, and
we would just always just leave it on.
By the time we were, I don't know what, say 10, that was a 15-year-old movie already. All the sequels had come out. So they showed it an awful lot, especially in the spring and into the summer. Do you remember it scaring you as a kid? Like, did it? Like, 'cause, I mean, I have to say, like, I have to imagine that this movie played very differently for kids who grew up on the coast versus like Kansas. And furthermore, it hit home a little harder for people who lived in the Northeast where this takes place. Yeah. And where shark attacks aren't like super common. So, yeah, I definitely know that like the first time I saw this and was old enough to know what was going on, I was a little freaked out about going in the ocean that summer.
Well, yeah, me too. And like I had a little bit of additional perspective. Mm-hmm. My dad was a scuba diver.
Oh, okay.
And, so like, and he dove all up and down, the coast of New Jersey, New York, Connecticut. Like he would dive all these like spots with his buddies. Mm-hmm. And at the time, like Jaws, I think Jaws either had just come out or was about to come out. And there was some breakthrough in like shark research where like this guy had figured out how to track shark movements. And he like met up with like a bunch of divers and put up a map with like all these like position information of where these sharks were swimming. And they're looking at this map with all these red dots on it, and all of the dudes in the room just go white. And they're like, holy shit, I dive there, I dive there, I dive there. It was all their dive spots where this great white shark apparently had been tracked. And so, like, they all got freaked out. And they're like, holy shit, this thing's, like, right in our backyard. So he's telling me all of this while I'm, like, seeing Jaws for the first time. And then it's like, okay, we're going to the beach tomorrow. I'm like, wait, what? we can't go to the beach.
Because I mean,
it was freaky.
It hit every someone gets attacked in the shallow water. The kid on the raft right at the beach where everyone's swimming. The dude in the little boat isn't even safe. It just eats his fucking boat and eats him. You know, and then the big boat isn't even safe. Like, it just hits you on all fronts, man. It hits you on all fucking fronts. And I don't know about you, but when I was a kid and I saw that the first time, nothing about that shark looked fake. Like,
no,
it looked pretty fucking real to me.
Yeah, people kind of like lambast the shark and it doesn't move the right way. And like when you view it in that way, yeah, you can spot the warts. But when you're a kid, you're like, that thing looks just like a monster shark and it's real and it's going to eat me.
Yeah, and they cut it together with real footage of great whites that they went and shot, you know, off Australia.
Oh, yeah.
So there are shots of real sharks in there, and it was just enough, especially when you're younger and you didn't, you know, you're watching it on VHS. You know, it wasn't super clear. It fooled you. It fooled you. And there was just enough gore to freak you out. And I don't know, man, the scene with Quint always scared the shit out of me. Like,
yeah.
At that age, I'd never seen a movie where a character that was that much of a lead character die in such a terrible way. And not only that, but he got killed by what he was scared of the most on his own boat. It was fucking terrifying. Yeah. And like, I don't know about you, man, but when he faces, like, there's a kind of this movie reminds me of Predator, or I guess Predator reminds me of Jaws in a couple different ways. It's like, we've talked about this before when we talked about Predator. It's got that structure where it's almost like two movies in one.
Yeah.
Because it's two adventures. It's the whole setup with, you know, it could have stayed that way too. It could have stayed like a land-based movie with the sheriff trying to figure out what the fuck to do. But there's that whole lead up, and then when they go out on the Orca,
it's like a different movie.
This almost like survival adventure movie with three men against a shark now. It's really neat, and I think that's part of why it's endured so much. But there's also that feeling at the end, right when Quint dies, because Hooper's hanging out at the bottom on the bottom with his scuba gear, hiding, right?
Yeah.
But Brody doesn't know that. He thinks he's dead.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, Quint gets eaten, and Brody's just fucking alone.
Yep.
On a sinking boat that he wouldn't know how to drive in the first place, even if it wasn't sinking. And he's got an M1 Garand, and he's climbing up on the fucking, whatever the fuck you call it, the spiky thing on the top.
The crow's nest? I don't know.
I don't know. The mast. And it's fucking brutal, man. And then you see like shreds of Quint in the shark's teeth when he comes at him, and that was what really freaked me out as a kid. That really fucked me up a little bit.
Yeah, man. We had talked about this with a friend of yours on a fishing podcast.
Yeah.
And we made the point that it's everybody's first horror movie.
Yeah, it's very true.
You kind of don't think of it as a horror movie at first because it's a classic, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's just an absolute classic. It's like a director just coming out and, you know, exploding onto the scene and showing everybody what he can do. Great performances. But, like, at heart, that's a horror movie, man.
Yeah, like, what else would you call it, you know? It's a monster movie.
Like, we all see it so young. It kind of flies under the radar because it doesn't necessarily feel like a horror movie until you're watching it, and then the scary shit happens. And so, like, people wind up showing this to their kids, or more accurately, it winds up just like sliding under the radar because it's on. And you're like, yeah, I'll leave this on. I came home from work one day, and as I walk in the door, the first thing I see when I turn the corner is my daughter, who was about like 1.5, 2 years old, and she's just in tears. And I'm like, what's wrong? And then I come further in and I see what's on the TV, and Quint is being eaten on the boat. I'm like, what the hell? Like, why is this on when she's in the room? And they're like, oh, it's Jaws. I'm like, yeah, exactly, it's Jaws. Like, and I had to pick her up and be like, it's okay, honey, it's pretend.
You know, you're 100%. I remember being a little kid at my Aunt Rosie's house. We were there for like Sunday dinner or some shit, and you know, if sports weren't on, they would just like let whatever played be on the TV. And I remember I saw the beginning of Jaws 2 there in that condition. I was a kid, like little. And you remember how that begins? I know, if you're not familiar with the sequels, that is okay. They're pretty fucking terrible.
Yeah, I remember the setup for part 2, but I can't remember the first scene.
The very beginning of it, it's Christmas on Amityville, on Amity Island, and it's Brody's son is now a deputy, right? And he gets some report about it.
This is Jaws 4.
No, this isn't Jaws 4. This is Jaws 2.
Jaws 2?
Yeah, this is Jaws 2. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. How does
2,
Jaws 2 begin?
Jaws 2 takes place right after Jaws 1. His kids are still like kids.
Oh, that's the one they got him back for. Oh, that's right. The poor son of a bitch signed a 2-movie deal and he had to come back.
Then there was Jaws 3, Jaws
Which
3D.
is the one in SeaWorld.
SeaWorld.
You're right. I'm thinking of Jaws for the Revenge. Wow.
Jaws the Revenge, yeah.
Wow. Well, yeah, it's
That
the beginning of
scene
Jaws
is
4
creepy,
then.
Man.
The night scene, right? When he gets his arm ripped off, right?
Yeah, and he's screaming in the water.
That is the only upsetting part of the movie, but it's pretty fucking upsetting. It's pretty especially when you're little and you don't know what you're watching because the title hasn't come up yet. You know? That really freaked me out. The yellow rain slicker with the blood it fucking reminded me of Georgie from It. Getting his arm ripped off.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing.
It was all around the same time, man. Yeah, you saw all these things at the same time. They just gel in your head, and then you have to go to therapy when you're old.
Yeah,
I love Jaws.
That was Jaws the Revenge. I love Jaws too. It's my wife's favorite movie.
I can't believe I got those screwed up. Damn. That's okay.
It's okay. We're gonna get through this.
Wait,
yeah,
is that the one with Michael Caine?
Yeah, Michael Caine.
He's a bush pilot. That shark was only 16 years old.
She was sick. Was it you that sent me that dude? It was Peter Sellers doing an impression of Michael Caine?
No, I sent you the one that was
Steve Coogan.
Yeah, Coogan.
Yeah, that was pretty good. There's another one with Peter Sellers. He's just doing this Michael Caine impression, and it's just him telling a story. He's just like, I saw this thing on TV. Did you know that if a man jumped off the Eiffel Tower in a tweed suit, it would take him 7 to 8 seconds before he hit the ground? Now, there's not that many people know that, right?
Didn't you tell me that you have to have an underbite to talk like Michael Caine? Isn't that the first part of it?
Yeah, you just shut your bottom teeth out.
It's like Keira Knightley.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jaws, 50 years. I can't fucking believe it. We're getting so fucking old. 1975, 50 fucking years. The first summer blockbuster. All right, what's your favorite part? What's your favorite part of the classic Jaws?
Favorite part? Oh man, I think my favorite part, well, there's a couple different buckets.
You and your buckets.
Yeah, I like to put things in buckets. There's the part, my favorite, the most entertaining part to me is when they finally start making headway against the shark on the orca, and they're hitting it with the barrels, and it turns into this chase, and like the men start making progress against the shark.
The music's like soaring. Yeah.
Yeah. The music is just real major key, and you're like, yeah, they're doing it, and then like the barrels go down, and then they start popping back up again. It's just that whole sequence is awesome. And then there are the parts that, like, I won't call them my favorite, but like they're seared in my brain. You know, like just that, like you said, that little guy in the boat, in the little rowboat, when the shark is going in the pond, and you just see this thing kind of just come up from below.
The overhead shot, you mean? Yeah.
It's huge. The scale of that model they had, the thing is enormous, and it's just like he doesn't even know it's there, and it just kind of comes up real slow and bumps him out of the boat, and then the sound that man makes as he's being eaten, and the leg just drops through the frame.
Yeah. That's a rough one. That's a rough one.
Yeah. What about you?
I guess it's kind of a cliche, but the monologue is kind of my favorite part. The USS
the
Indianapolis monologue. Yeah. That's pretty great. I just like the whole ending, too, when Quint starts really going fucking crazy. And he's all in Captain Ahab mode, and he breaks the fucking radio and pushes the engine to death. And I just love the whole degeneration of Quint.
Yeah, he like spirals.
Yeah, it's like such a great progression to watch. Like him, that seasoned old captain you feel like he's got a solution or a piece of gear or a strategy for anything, and they all just start unraveling bit by bit, and then he starts getting actually scared. Like you can tell he's getting scared, and it manifests in an interesting way. And none of it would mean anything without the Indianapolis monologue. Like that's
right.
It's everything, of course. What a cool little detail. What a little. The performance sells it, of course. Without that incredible performance, it wouldn't matter. But.
And just the one line from it, he's like, "I'll never put on a life jacket again."
Yeah. I think I've only really seen, I guess, 3 movies with Robert Shaw. I watched The Sting a lot when I was younger with Redford and Newman, and he's the bad guy in that.
Yep, I've seen that.
And
he was a Bond villain.
Oh, that's right. He was blonde. That's right.
Yes.
Very strange
Which
looking
one
as a blonde man.
From
The turtle.
Russia with Love?
I think so. Yeah, that sounds right. And we also definitely saw him in Excalibur, right? He was in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he Uther?
I think he was King Uther, yeah. Arthur's father. Yeah. We had to watch that in school.
You must say the charm of making and call the dragon's breath.
That is exactly how he talked, too.
Will you teach me to be king?
Patrick Stewart's in that. Oh, my God. Liam Neeson. Oh,
the movie's so fucking funny. Stacked.
That was so fun. And then we had to... We did... All we talked about forever was how they were banging with the armor on. Like how they didn't take their armor off, and they're just clanking around.
Just lift the little
the dick flap. Yeah, there's a dick hinge,
Jesus. What a ridiculous movie.
Now, I remember distinctly our teacher, who was like this ridiculous Anglophile, telling us that when they made that movie, they made all the armor was like period accurate, and that's why they looked like they were moving around so shitty, because it was heavy.
You mean like not at all?
Yeah, I looked it up. While the shape and everything was apparently period accurate, the armor was aluminum.
Oh yeah, that shit was
It wasn't steel. It was aluminum. So it was like what, like 1/10 the weight of what it would have been, and they still couldn't move.
Yeah, at the time, if it was real period, it would have been like plate steel. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they really did it in real life. I assume they could still move. I've seen things on the History Channel where like it was way more flexible than you thought, and they could get on horses no problem. Like, all right, whatever, I guess. But
yeah, if it was articulated, you could move around well enough.
Speaking of armor, here's a good segue back to Jaws. Another of my favorite scenes is when Hooper's in the shark cage. The whole shark cage scene I really like, because you think you're in the falling action of the movie, and the movie is almost over, right? Like, this is their last gambit, really, is the shark cage and all the shit that Hooper brought with him. And I'm always like a little surprised, because I'm like, oh, fuck, that's right. I forgot about the shark cage part. And they put this poor bastard in the shark cage.
Let me get this straight. You go in a cage, cage goes in the water, shark's in the water. Our shark.
Verily do.
Farewell and adieu. Did you ever see the clip of him singing that song in the other movie?
What other movie?
Robert Shaw played like a ship captain in, I think it might have been like Moby Dick.
No.
And it was from like the 50s. And he sings that same song. And that's why he reused it for Jaws. He kind of like improv'd it because he had already done another movie
and
he
was so drunk that he couldn't think of anything else.
I don't know if he was a captain, but he was a sailor, and he sang that song in another movie.
You know what's funny? There was a scene involving Moby Dick that they couldn't use. Originally, we were supposed to be introduced to Quint in a movie theater, and they were supposed to be watching the old Moby Dick. What the fuck's his name, Thomas?
Who? Herman Melville?
No.
Ishmael?
Gregory Peck.
Oh, okay.
It was the version where Gregory Peck played Ahab, right? And the scene it's the scene where Ahab is like stabbing the whale. He's like lashed to it and stabbing it. And, you know, that movie was made back in like the 50s. And it's like an animatronic whale and like a little dude, you know, and it looks really fake. So apparently the scene was supposed to be Quint in the theater laughing his ass off, like in such a maniacal way that everyone else in the theater leaves. And he's like left alone laughing in the auditorium. Well, they ended up cutting it because Spielberg couldn't get permission to use Moby Dick. Because apparently Gregory Peck controlled the rights to it. And he didn't want him to use it, not because they would be laughing at the movie, but because he was ashamed of it. And he thought it was his worst performance of his career. So I think you can still find the clip, but the movie screen is empty. Like he's laughing at nothing, which is kind of neat.
Listen to this.
What?
Off the Spanish coast, 2 tugboat captains are caught in a violent feud over a woman, but their rivalry is set aside when a sinking freighter carrying explosives must be salvaged and towed to port.
Sounds pretty cool.
That is the plot of Sea Fury from 1958, starring Robert Shaw.
Sea Fury, huh?
I think that's the movie he was in when he originally sang the farewell and adieu to the fair Spanish ladies.
58, huh? All right.
Yeah, it's going back.
I have to check it out. There was something, you know, what would you even call it? The little rhyme he says when Brody first gets on board the Orca.
Oh, here lie the bones of Mary Lee.
That's
died
the
at
one.
the age of 103. For 15 years, she kept her virginity. Not a bad average for this vicinity.
There you go.
Not a bad record.
So I saw an interview with Spielberg where he was like, yeah, so he just improv that, you know, on the day. And he's like, I went and talked to Robert. I'm like, so what is that? Because I'm going to have to get the rights to it if we're going to be able to use that scene. And he's like, I think you'll be all right. I remember it because I read it on a tombstone in Ireland once. And it was a real tombstone inscription. So
It's phenomenal.
they just used it. In the same special, this goes back to the shark cage thing. Do you know how they filmed some of that to make it look like a gigantic shark was attacking the cage? Because it's not the robot. It's not Bruce in a lot of those shots.
No. What is it? Just like a half ski?
They built a smaller version of the cage, and they got a little person and put him in the cage.
way.
And they filmed this off the Australian coast with a real great white shark attacking the cage, right?
So wait a minute. They put a small person in a cage with a real shark.
Yeah, and when the interview they did, I think it was a behind the scenes thing I saw. They interviewed the woman who was like, you know, the shark person who was in charge of shooting that unit, and she's like, the actor they got, the little person, he's like, he was fucking terrified because he was
Well,
not.
yeah.
He wasn't a diver. Like he'd never.
He's like a fucking snack.
Well, not only that, he had no experience diving, and then he's like, "Yeah." The woman's like, "Yeah." So we strapped him in a wetsuit and gave him a crash course on the rebreather, and threw him into a tiny cage, and then had giant sharks attack him, and they're real sharks.
Fucking hell, man.
So, and you know the scene where the shark is thrashing around and like rips the cage up real bad?
Yeah.
That really happened. Fortunately, they were filming, but there was nobody in the cage.
Okay.
And the shark came in and it got caught in the rigging above the cage and lost its mind and just started freaking the fuck out. And they got all the footage from underneath of it and like spliced it together to make it look like that happened when Hooper escaped, and swims down to the bottom.
Right.
But it was just a pure accident. And apparently they I don't know how the script would originally had it turn out for Hooper, but they wanted to use the footage so bad they changed it so that he escaped the cage to explain why there was nobody in the cage.
Otherwise you couldn't use that footage.
Right.
It's just added to the list of shit that happened by accident that made it a better movie.
Yeah, right? Exactly. The shark wouldn't work. The weather wouldn't work. Nobody knew what they were doing. Nobody wanted to be in the movie.
Robert Shaw was too drunk to nail the first take of the speech.
Yeah, that's right. He had to do it a different day, right? Didn't he apologize?
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah.
And then like what he turned it hit the second take was like flawless.
And fucking Richard Dreyfuss apparently was miserable the entire goddamn time, and all he did was complain. That's funny, man.
Yeah, I don't struggle to imagine that.
Do you like him in any other movie? Dreyfuss?
Richard
Yeah.
Dreyfuss. You know what? I can think of one.
So can I. I bet you. I hope it's the same one.
Because I'm supposed to hate him. What about
it's-
Bob?
Man, see, I thought it was going to be Mr. Holland's Opus. No, it's What About Bob. It's obviously What About Bob, for Christ's sake.
But like, yeah, you're supposed to like root for Bill Murray.
He
And just,
is
like,
pretty great in that movie.
Even though he's a nightmare to deal with, and no one should have to deal with that.
Dr.
Like,
Marvin. Dr. Leo Marvin.
That movie's amazing. What else is he in?
Dreyfuss? Oh,
Yeah,
Christ.
Dreyfuss.
Well, I guess Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I guess he's all right in that. He's kind of a dick in that. Mr. Holland's Opus. There's that. He was in another Spielberg movie that I don't think anyone's ever seen called Always. You remember that one with John Goodman
No.
in the 90s? It's a weird movie. I think Dreyfuss is a pilot who gets killed, and he's a ghost or some shit, and he's talking to, I don't remember. He's like advising the young guy who's going out with his daughter. It's a weird one, man. I don't know. It's been a long time. But he was in that. I'm looking through his fucking... He was in that goddamn awful, those stakeout movies.
Yeah. Krippendorf's Drive.
I remember trailers for that. It looks so damn bad. Yeah, there's Always from 1989. No, Stand By Me. He does the voiceover in Stand By Me. He's the writer at the beginning. He's the grown-up version of
Yeah.
LeChance.
I'm not a fan of Richard Dreyfuss.
Apparently he's a dick, too.
He's in Jaws.
Yeah,
So he gets a pass.
yeah.
And I mean, like, yeah, he's Hooper, you know? You need a Matt Hooper. You need someone to grate against Shaw because you know, like just that's I think he's essential to that movie because like Shaw's incredible. Quint is like this larger than life character, but he needs something to grind against. and Matt Hooper is perfect for that role. Like he needs to grate on someone.
Yeah, yeah,
and that someone needs to be disagreeable.
They got to be somewhat from the same world, you know?
Right. Yeah, and because
Brody's just different. You know, I think there's a respect there, but he's a landlubber.
Brody,
you know,
Brody acquiesces to a lot of what Quint says. He's like, I need this and I need this, and you're gonna go do this now. And he knows when he's out of his element.
Yeah.
Matt Hooper is not out of his element, and he doesn't agree with any of it.
No, he's a half-assed astronaut. God damn it. They like using that half-assed astronaut, and then we're not going to do a half-assed autopsy on a fish.
Yeah.
Just watch that little Kittner boy spill out all over the dock. So for the 50th anniversary, I bought the 4K version of Jaws.
How's it look?
I watched it yesterday. Looks pretty fucking great. You can see every anchor on the mayor's sweet sport jacket.
The mayor's suits.
No, it really,
amity, as you know, means friendship.
They did a great job. And the dark scenes are still, they left the grain, the appropriate amount of grain in the dark scenes.
Like when they're trying to catch it with the guy's wife's roast.
Yeah, I mean, the night
$3,000 that'll buy a lot of roast.
That's still pretty well lit, but I was thinking more like the indoor scenes where they're just like going through shadows and stuff. Sometimes that stuff comes out a little too fake bright, and they try to oversaturate it to make it easier to see, but they didn't. They did, as one would hope with a movie like this, they did a great job. Did you know one of those guys on the dock scene was supposed to lose his leg in the original version? Yeah. They got rid of it because apparently they had, they felt that they already did a leg with the guy in the boat in the bay. They're like, we can't have two legs. We can't do two legs in shark movie. So they didn't.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you don't want to overdo it.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. The prop guys were like, we already made you one leg, now you want another one? I
got to tell you, though, if you do, I mean, it is a laugh to watch the third one. Like, all the sequels are ridiculous, but, like, the second one...
The third one...
Yeah, the third one is so goofy. The second one is just shitty, you know? And like you said, it picks
fine.
up,
it's
like,
just
the
a
summer
retread.
after, right? It's the summer after. And Brody's the only... Brody and his family are the only returning characters. Because Quint's dead, of course, and they mention something about how Hooper he's at that shark research thing that he talks about in the first one.
He's on the Aurora.
Is that what it is, the Aurora? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a shark boat.
Wasn't that one of the trivia questions on my buddy's podcast that you got?
It sure was.
There you go.
We did not get that.
We didn't get that, no. Cut and Retie kicked our ass with the trivia. We did okay.
No, yeah, we did pretty good with the trivia.
Okay.
We missed a couple, but we held our own.
But poor Roy Scheider apparently signed a 2-movie... He signed his contract said he would be in a sequel if they ever made one. And he never thought there was going to be a sequel, so he fucking signed it, and then he was on the hook for the fucking sequel. And it's just so blah. Like, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Like, they couldn't... How could you? Like, how could you? What idea could you come up with for there to be another shark in the same place?
Yeah,
you know?
And like the first one, the first movie's about a lot of things. Like, number one, it's about a shark, but it's about people in denial about the fact that there's something out there. It's about people getting hysterical about what could be out there. You know, it's got all these themes going on. Second one is purely like a scenario. Like, kids on boats, shark.
Yeah.
Go. That's the whole thing.
And the ending is so lame.
It's not about any of that other stuff. Oh, he finds, like, the power cable.
The power cable, yeah, and he bites it. The shark bites the power cable.
Wouldn't that blast Brody into outer space if he was anywhere near it?
I have no idea. I'm not even going to pretend to know how that would work, man. I don't know. It's just so anticlimactic, and, like, there's parts of it that are interesting, but it's pretty fucking lame. And then the third one is just so off the rails, I don't even know what to do with it.
The third one is like, I can't even hate on it because it's so goofy.
Yeah, it's
and
just
so
that was
out of left
3D,
field.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing connecting it to any of the other movies other than the fact that there's a shark in it. It fucking sneaks into SeaWorld somehow.
There's more than
It's
one shark. There's two
insane.
sharks. There's a shark and then the mama shark.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, yeah, and it's Louis Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid, right? And isn't Lorraine McFly in that too?
Maybe.
I think she is. Isn't that the one with the the water skiing scene?
Yep.
Which seemed great in premise until you see it in the movie, and it's not that good. That movie, the shark looked really fake. I think everyone who complains about Jaws and the shark looking extremely fake, they're thinking of that one. Because goddamn, that shark looked fake. The model looked fake. The scenes where it's swimming and not.
It's not swimming.
It's not
just
moving.
like,
it's just floating.
like
yeah.
levitating.
Yeah, it just like cruises through the water without any finnage. No fin work. No
And then it just breaks through the glass.
Yeah. As if SeaWorld didn't have enough bad press. Jesus Christ. Leah Thompson, that's who I was thinking of. She is in it.
Leah Thompson.
She is in it. Her character's name is Kellyanne Bukowski. Bukowski. No, there actually is a connection, Thomas. There is a connection to the series.
Okay.
Dennis Quaid is playing Mike Brody.
What?
Yes, he is Brody's son in this movie.
So hold on. Which one's the elder son?
I think
Is it Michael?
Michael's the older one who was in the boat with his buddies.
So what's the younger kid's name?
I don't know, man. I don't know. What is this, Jaws trivia?
Bobby, Jimmy, Johnny,
Kid,
Joey,
Baby Brody. The babiest of Brodies. He's the one who gets his fucking arm ripped off. That's what he is. It could be David. Probably. That sounds right. Anyway.
So wait. Dennis Quaid presumably plays the same character that's in Jaws: The Revenge that actually looks like Mike Brody, grown up.
All right. I might have to watch these two again because there's another character called Sean Brody in this. So are both brothers in this movie?
Oh, jeez.
Thomas.
Yeah, I know what you're doing this weekend.
All right. Yeah, no, I think they are, dude. I think, yeah, Sean Brody. Sean, yeah. He's the little one. He's the younger brother. Yep. And I remember there's this scene where him and Leah Thompson are about to bang in the water, and you're waiting for the shark to eat one of them, and then something happens, and they have to get out of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, and then the two brothers are back yet again in Jaws: The Revenge. They
Played by
retconned.
two different people.
They retconned Jaws 3D, those sons of bitches.
Yeah, Jaws 3D may as well not exist.
Motherfuckers. The erasure of SeaWorld Jaws. Fuck.
You know what's funny? I had seen Jaws 1 and 2, and then I saw Jaws 4. I didn't see Jaws 3 until much later. So for the longest time, Jaws 4 lived in my head as like the pinnacle of just awful sequels. You know?
You didn't know how bad it got.
Yeah, I didn't know. Oof. And like Jaws 4 has some real fucking weird shit that happens. Like especially the coup de grace being like at the end when they attach that like electrode to it, and they're using that strobe remote thing to zap the shark.
Oh yeah!
And it pops out of the water, and you just hear the shark go.
It growls. Yeah.
It roars in pain. Like I can hear it right now. And I saw it when I was a little kid, and I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And then I got a little older. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Sharks don't roar.
Monster. It's going to sound like a lion. Of course it is. Why not?
It pops out of the water and like yells like, ow. It was insane.
Now, you shouldn't be shocking me like that. I didn't like that very much at all.
That was very rude. Anyhow.
You know, I came up from southern waters.
Then
Louisiana.
Sounds like Doc Holliday.
Well, this flower is wilting.
Then I saw Jaws 3D, and I was like, holy shit. Like, it gets worse.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't any better in 3D. Like,
Probably
in the theater.
Worse.
It couldn't.
It just had more badness like, popping off the screen.
I wonder what's worse, that or Jason 3D? Friday the 13th. Third one. 3Ds.
I mean, Jaws has got to be worse.
I will give it credit. The Jaws 3 poster, pretty rad. Pretty cool.
Oh, I gotta look it up.
It's the water. It's one of the tail end of when they were still illustrating posters, and it's the water skiing scene. It's pretty cool as far as posters go. The third dimension is terror. That is a fucking tagline right there. They were really leaning into the 3D shit. And from what I remember, there's like 3 3D shots in that entire movie.
That is kind of a cool poster.
All right, so a friend of my wife's does this thing every year, and he's going nuts this year because it's the 50th anniversary. For the 4th of July, he screens the movie like all day and has a big picnic. And then at night, everyone gets in the pool on like floaties and shit, and he projects it on the side of his house, and everyone watches Jaws while floating in the water.
That's pretty rad.
I don't know if, since it's a pool, I think I'd be cool with it. You know, I've seen things where they do this in like natural bodies of water, and like a drive-in, but you're like floating in like a fucking lake or whatever.
I don't know if I can handle that.
I don't think I'd want to do that. No, I'm not into that. But I'll do it in a pool, I guess. I'll do it in a pool. Did you ever see any other movies based on Peter Benchley books that you know of?
Didn't he write The Relic?
Did he write The Relic? I know he wrote...
I thought he did.
He wrote the book that became a movie called The Deep in 1977. And that one wasn't so good. But that was more about divers, and it wasn't about anything super crazy. I think that was Peter Benchley. I'll have to check that out.
Relic. The Relic was Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child.
Okay. Check this
They
out.
wrote
Yeah,
other stuff.
The Deep was written by Peter Benchley, and it also has Robert Shaw in it. Go figure. If you ever come across that one, it's kind of neat. If Peter's out, you know what it has, Tom? It's got third act problems. It's a lot about diving, too. I'm surprised your dad never showed it to you. I believe there's some kind of giant octopus, or perhaps a vicious eel. There's something.
Vicious eel.
A vicious eel. And I know he wrote some other book about a fucking giant octopus that might have became that movie Leviathan.
Was it Beast?
Ooh, it might have been. Yeah, that might have been it. Yeah, because Leviathan is the ripoff of The Abyss. That's what it is. With Peter Weller. It's RoboCop versus The Abyss.
He wrote another book called White Shark.
Just White Shark? Really?
Yeah, it's called White Shark.
Okay, all right. He gets a lot of hate, and the movie gets a lot of hate because shark people say it demonized and villainized sharks, and specifically great whites, and made people scared of them when they shouldn't be. And I say that's bullshit. I say that you should be scared of a shark. There's a few things in nature you should be scared of. Lions, sharks, things with teeth that eat you.
You should be scared of a great white shark if you're going to consider swimming where they hunt. You know?
Yeah, and they kind of hunt everywhere.
Like,
so
lions aren't inherently evil, but like I'd be afraid of a lion if I was just like happen to be running through the fucking African savannah.
I saw this fucking thing, dude. Back to the shittiness of the internet. I saw some shit where they were It was like, you shouldn't really be afraid of alligators, man. Like, they don't come after people, you know. Most people that get attacked by alligators, you know, they're in the water where the gators are, you know. And that's why they get attacked, bro. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. Like, did anyone think that gators were just, like, coming out of the swamp and hunting people down in neighborhoods? Like, I think we might have heard about that shit. But, yeah, that's the whole point. Like, there could be gators in the fucking water and you don't know about it and they eat you, right? Isn't that the fear? Or am I stupid? I could be stupid. I'm pretty dumb, but... Right?
I feel you, man.
No? All
It's
right.
kind of... I heard somebody describe what the thing you're afraid of most in Jaws to that point. Like, the shark isn't what scares you in Jaws. It's the ocean
Yeah.
that scares you.
What it can
That's
hide.
the really scary thing, yeah.
What you don't
just-
see beneath the
Yes.
surface. Yeah.
But yeah, it's the same thing. And alligators, yeah, you should be scared of alligators. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
They're terrifying.
People say the same
Nope.
shit about snakes all the time, and it really drives me fucking crazy because I've been terrified of snakes my whole life. And it minimizes my fear, and it makes me feel small.
Yeah, man, to say that you shouldn't be scared of that stuff, like, I don't think you would want to walk around in your daily life just with a fear of sharks, but like, yeah, you should definitely be careful in those situations, and a little bit of fear goes a long way, man.
Yeah. I don't think it's not.
There's this somebody got eaten by a shark on film like recently.
Yeah, I remember that was like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, this
Yeah,
dude went
I
swimming
saw
in
it.
an area that he absolutely should not have been swimming in. It was a fishing lane.
It's fucking terrible.
Lots of fishing boats go through that channel because it's like, you know, it was just near the port where they would bring in their catch, and the sharks would hang out there because they'd be throwing stuff like guts and heads and stuff over the side. It was a smorgasbord for sharks.
Fucking unintentional
it was-
chum lane.
Yeah, exactly. It was just they were just chumming the waters, and there was notorious for just being shark infested. And I don't know what happened, but the guy went in the water, and someone from the shore caught it on camera.
Yeah.
Just like the moment that he gets taken by like a tiger shark.
It was like, you know, when they're out to get shark footage and they put that fake seal out to get the shark to strike and breach.
Yeah.
That's
Air
what it
Jaws.
hit him like that,
Love that
dude.
shit.
Yeah,
That's
it hit him
crazy.
like that, and it was rough to know that was a human being. That was bad. That was really scary. It's like when the kid on the raft gets eaten. To be honest, it was a lot like that, except more violent.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. There's certain things that we're just programmed to be scared of, and I think anything that can surprise you that's bigger than us with teeth, we're just hardwired to be afraid of it because we are prey animals for a lot of things, you know? I don't think we should be ashamed of it.
Yeah, that doesn't mean like go out and kill all sharks.
No,
but, like,
don't be unnecessarily paranoid about it, but fear and respect the ocean, as we all should, because it's full of all kinds of shit that wants to kill you, including the ocean itself.
The other day, I was watching something with the wife. We had Jurassic Park on. We were
Okay.
just had like
The first
some
one?
time to kill. Yeah, the first
Okay.
one. We just put it on because it's like one of those comfort movies. And she asked me, "Which scenario would you rather be in?" I was like, "What do you mean? Like what scenario?" She goes, "Would you rather be in Jurassic Park with all the dinosaurs, or would you rather be like on the orca during Jaws?"
Oof.
And I thought, like, I ain't go to answer. I'm like, you mean like, how do I want to die? Like, which ridiculous scenario do I want to kill me? And she just starts laughing like hell. And I was like, what's so funny? Like, it's a ridiculous question. They both suck. And she goes, that's not why I was asking. I was like, why were you asking? She goes, I meant like, which one do you think it would be cooler to be in? Like, do you get to see real dinosaurs or you get to see this giant shark? I never even considered the fact that like eventually I would get fucking eaten. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of a problem. You know, you're in very real danger.
Well, if that's the choice, I got to go with Jurassic Park because at least the brontosauruses and shit, they were cool. You know,
yeah. Apparently, you can walk up and just hug a triceratops as long as it's doped up,
and you jam your arms into its poop, right into its poop.
That is
all right.
One big pile of shit.
Here's something. Maybe you can help me with this. I never asked the internet about this, but for years and years and years, I remembered a scene from Jurassic Park that isn't in Jurassic Park. It's not in the movie. All right?
What?
Yeah. I have a memory in my head of them figuring out what was wrong with the Triceratops and why it was sick. And I have to believe that this is real. Because there's dialogue that exists remember they first. This is digging in deep. I know this is in the weeds, but
I'm with you.
When they first come up to the sick Triceratops, it's like laying on its side, it's like, oh, and the guy from the park tells them, "Yeah, we don't know what it is. It happens every like 3 months or whatever.
Every
it is.
6 weeks.
Is it 6 weeks? Okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, she's wondering if it's something in their food, and she never figures it out, right? And then the storm comes in, and they have to like progress with the plot. I remember a scene being in there where they figure out that the Triceratops is like some other animal, and it swallows stones, and the stones are in its stomach, and it helps break up food, like the thick fucking herbage that they eat. The stalks and shit, and the stones in their stomach help pulverize it. And every 6 weeks, they regurgitate the stones, and then swallow new ones because they get smoothed out. And that's why they get sick every 6 weeks. They're not actually getting sick. It's like a normal cycle for them. Now, I couldn't have fucking made this up out of thin air.
It might be a thing that you know, but that is definitely not in the movie.
I know. I know.
I'll tell you why.
I know.
Because
I've watched it many, many, many times since, and this is so old. Like, I feel like I saw this, and it was in the theatrical version I saw, and I never saw it again.
The problem is not that it's throwing up; it's that it's all like she's putting the light in its eyes. It's like, oh look, its eyes are dilated. It means it's pharmacological, you know. Which is funny because she's saying like, oh look, its eyes are dilated, but like he admits to fucking tranking the shit out of it.
Right, exactly.
So
that's what I always thought
dilated
it was.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh look,
but the regularity of it,
or whatever.
The regularity of it, you know, every 6 weeks, and that they would get lethargic and shit.
They definitely never discuss.
I know, man. I'm not saying that it's in the movie.
Belly stones.
And I have this very clear memory. It's just like 2 or 3 sentences they say back and forth to each other. And they're like, oh, we figured out the mystery of the sick Triceratops. Now the storm's coming in.
You know, it's funny. Like, after that moment, no one cares about that Triceratops.
I know.
They're like, how do we not die?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like this scene might have existed, because it gives closure to the fucking Triceratops. Jesus Christ, man.
But when would they discuss it, though? Like,
I don't
literally,
know.
Immediately after that scene, shit goes off the rails.
I feel like the scene where they're playing with the poop is longer.
Well, look it up. Look up Google extended poop scene.
That's gonna do it. That'll do it.
See what happens. And click on the first result you get.
Sick Triceratops. I don't even know how to spell Triceratops.
T-R-I-C. Okay.
Fuck yeah. Oh my God. Vindication. Fucking vindication. You ready?
Okay. Explain.
It's a post on movie details. the subreddit. In Jurassic Park, there's a deleted scene in which Dr. Sattler explains how the Triceratops swallows rocks in order to digest food, and how he must have mistaken the poison purple berries for rocks. There you go. This small shot was left in the final cut.
Is this West Indian lilac?
West Indian lilac. See, we're both right. We're both right.
She says that.
It's
she says,
interconnected.
Yeah, we know they're toxic, but the
animals
don't
never eat them. Yeah. Dude. So I don't know. I guess I saw this scene somehow. Maybe I saw a TV edit and they added it back in for time.
Yeah, they do that sometimes.
Yeah, they do.
You ever watch a Harry Potter movie on TV?
I never have, no. But
well, my
I've
wife's
seen them. I know
with
them.
Harry Potter. Yeah, if you watch it on TV like ABC when they air them, there's all this extra shit in the movie that you never knew was there. They always add in these like exclusive for TV like extra scenes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, maybe
all right.
something like that.
I don't know how I saw it. They're saying the scene is lost. I don't know how I fucking saw it because I clearly knew about it somehow. That's fucking wild, man.
Can I ask you a weird question?
Sure.
This is like, how familiar are you with Jurassic Park?
Very.
The
first one, very. Yeah.
So I was hoping for. Because, like, there's just, like, a couple things. Like, I saw that movie. It came out in, what, like, 94?
Yeah, I for some reason I want to say 96, but yeah, hold on.
What? Well, we were kids.
Yeah.
97, maybe? I don't know.
I saw it in the theater. I know that.
Anyhow, John
93.
Hammond. 93, okay. John Hammond is talking about, like, come we have a very great lunch planned. Alejandro is making something. Chilean sea bass.
Chilean sea bass. Yes, spared no expense.
He does not say Chilean, because I think I would have put together that it was Chile. He says Chilean.
Oh,
Chilean.
So you thought it was Chilean sea bass?
I thought that Alejandro had prepared chili
That's so
and
weird.
sea bass.
That is a weird combination, sir.
I didn't question it at all, because in 93 I was 10. I didn't know that, like, you didn't eat fucking sea bass with chili.
Oh, that's
like,
so funny, man.
He said two foods, and I was like, oh, chili and sea bass.
There's got to be a word
years.
for that, because I've done the same thing, dude, with movies that I watched when I was little, and you just like, yeah, you hear a phrase and you just combine. You're like, well, that must be a phrase because I'm 10 and I don't know shit, so that must be a thing.
There was another one. It's like the same scene. He's talking about what they're gonna have for lunch, and then Sam Neill starts talking to Muldoon, that guy Muldoon, about the Raptors. He's like, "Oh, how fast are they?" And he says, cheetah speed,
yeah,
cheetah speed, 50, 60 kilometers per hour. And he's just rattling the stuff off. And like I said, when I was a kid, I heard him say, he's saying cheetah speed, like as fast as a cheetah.
Yeah.
But he's saying it with that accent.
You thought it was cheater?
I thought he was saying cheater speed. Like, well, it's like, I guess that's a fucking phrase people say. Cheater. Oh, yeah.
He's
cheater
so fast,
speed.
he must be cheating, yo.
That must mean very fast.
Well, yeah, when you're 10, like, there's all these phrases and shit you hear grown-ups use that they don't make any fucking sense. Idioms and things like that, and idiomatic expressions, and why the fuck wouldn't you think that was a thing? You know? Inlight Flint, what the fuck does that mean? Nobody knows.
Yeah. Anyhow, those were just two things. Like, I just heard them and didn't really like parse out what they meant, and like they just became like canon. And like, he can't be saying cheetah, because that's not how you say cheetah.
I have a lot of those things with Ghostbusters, the original. I can't think of them right now, but if we watch the movie, there's like 10 instances where I'll be like, you know what I thought that meant when I was a kid? Like, it's really deep. So I know exactly what you mean. And the second one, too, the second Ghostbusters for that matter, because that was 91. We were still very young. So you don't know.
Ghostbusters 2 was 91?
Dude, it actually might have been 90.
My God.
89. Holy fuck.
God damn.
89. Holy shit, man. I had that poster on my wall.
On a mountain of pain in a castle of bones, I sat
On a throne of blood. What was will be, what is will be no more. Now is the season of evil. That guy was in a John Carpenter movie. The guy who played Vigo.
Which one?
The one with the crazy author, Kane.
Oh, The Mouth of Madness?
Yes. Yeah, the one with Sam Neill. Mouth of Madness.
He's in that?
Yeah, he's the main dude.
What main dude? Like the main the author?
No, the guy who's looking for the author. He's the protagonist. Sam Neill's the protagonist.
Sam Neill's the protagonist.
Yeah. And
So who's Vigo the Carpathian?
oh, he's like a side character. He's one of the dudes in the town that's near Sutter Kane's weird mansion that he
So
finds.
he's not Sutter Kane. Yeah, that's right. He's like a henchman.
He blows his own head off with a shotgun in a bar.
That's right.
Yeah, but that's him. I think that's the only other thing I've ever seen that dude in.
He's in Die Hard.
Is that him?
He's one of the
With
Germans.
the ponytail. Is that him?
Not like he's not the main. He's not the main one. His
No, I know
brother gets
I
killed.
know who you mean. The guy in the leather jacket.
Yeah,
Vida. Yeah, that guy.
Yep.
Yeah. My buddy
and he's in the 13th Warrior.
was fishing with a guy who was in Die Hard 2
No way.
last week. Yeah. He was also in Demolition Man, apparently. He was one of Simon Phoenix's thugs. He was one of the bad guys in Die Hard 2. Do you remember the fight in the abandoned terminal?
Yes.
The one that's like under construction, and they right, and they find like the little cash guys guarding it, and they have a shootout. There's this part where John McClane's knocked down. The conveyor belt walking path things. He's waiting for it to bring him his gun because he's pinned down by something, and this guy starts charging down it. Instead of just standing there and shooting McClane, he decides to run at him while holding an MP5 so that John can pick up the pistol just in time and shoot him a bunch of times. That's the dude that they were fishing with, the guy who was running down the conveyor belt at him.
And then he met an inglorious end.
Yeah. I remembered him specifically
Bruce Willis.
because he makes a really dumb face when he gets shot. He goes like, "Ee!" like this fucking, like he's taking a shit. I'll never forget it. And he falls funny.
All right, let me shoot you and see what your face looks like.
I don't want to. I'm not an actor, man. See?
If I got shot, I wouldn't make that dumb face. I'm a man.
If I was pretending to get shot, I wouldn't make that face, okay? Can we land on that?
Sure.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks. If you were getting eaten by a shark chomping through your torso and your cock area, what kind of face would you make?
Whatever Robert Shaw's doing.
It was a good face.
He seems equal parts surprised and anguished.
Do you know how many years it took me
oh shit,
to realize that he actually starts stabbing it with the knife
Oh,
that he left
yeah.
stuck in the side of the boat earlier?
he goes down fighting. He's
took
like
me-
trying to stab its eye out.
I used to look away a lot during that scene when I was younger. It used to scare the shit out of me, man.
It's terrifying.
It really bothered me. You'd never think it's going to come up on the fucking boat, dude. Like, it's in the water. You're in the boat. If the boat sinks, you're fucked, right? You never think the shark is going to flop onto the fucking boat and eat you. I'm sorry. It was surprising.
It doesn't happen.
50 years ago, it's still surprising.
He goes down swinging.
He does. He stabs that fucker. I'm going to leave you with this. If you ever want to ruin some of the mystique of Jaws, specifically the Indianapolis speech, there's a film I believe it's
film?
just called Indianapolis, starring Nicolas Cage and Tom Sizemore.
You've mentioned this before.
That's because it's so remarkable. Like, you have not witnessed cinema until you've seen Nick Cage scream into the sky because his buddy has been bitten in half by a shark.
Is this a good movie?
No, not really. It's interesting because it's like a valiant attempt to tell the Indianapolis story with like a quarter of the budget you needed. And like most of it, you spend trying to convince yourself that, 65-year-old Nick Cage and I guess Tom Sizemore had to have been pushing 50-something at the time.
Were like able-bodied naval recruits.
Yes, that they could have been seamen. Like, granted, Nick Cage is playing the ship's captain, but still, he's far too fucking old. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Watch it if you ever get a chance. Just watch the beginning and laugh a little bit.
I'll check that out. That sounds ridiculous.
It is. We should do that this summer. Since it's the 50th, we should have a screening of Jaws in your outdoor
go watch it in my backyard
thing. Yeah. Bodega. What the fuck word am I thinking of? I'm lost, man.
Gazebo?
Sure. Yeah, it's a gazebo.
That's like awning?
I don't know, man. We're going to watch Jaws outside.
We're going to watch
what
it.
we're going to do.
We'll cook out. We'll get 2 cases of apricot brandy.
And some Narragansett lager.
See, I'll get some Narragansett. We'll crush them in one go.
I imagine that when cans were actually made of tin, it was a bit more of a flex to be able to crush one of those cans, right? Especially
They have one of the
your
weird,
head.
like, old school pull tabs.
Yeah. Remember the aluminum cans that had the little ridges at the top and bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pull tabs. I don't remember pull tabs, to be honest. Do you?
I mean, yeah, they were gone when you and I were able to open cans.
Okay.
But Quint had one.
Quinn had one. He did. He had pull tabs. Pull tabs.
I like Narragansett once in a while.
I've never had it.
Oh, word?
No. We had that Amity lager that we were drinking at
At Joe's.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
In the bunker. Yeah, it was pretty good. I got a little too lit up on that one. I had a few too many lagers for that podcast, but it was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a good time. He knows a lot about Jaws. I couldn't get him on the horn for this.
Than we did.
Yeah, he worships that movie. It's the entire impetus for his career. So it's way more important to him than it is to me. But yeah, I tried to get him on here, but he's fucking busy. And you know what fishing guys do this time of year?
They fish.
They're fishing. It's summer. They're fishing. Unfortunately for me, I'm chained to a laptop all the time, and I don't do shit outside anymore. It's great. Love it. Love it, Tom.
Well, there's a lot of risks being outside. You could get hit by a shark, get hit by an alligator, bit by a snake.
All right.
I think you're doing a smart thing.
Let me ask you. Here's a good one. Here's something to end it on. You and I have been out deep sea fishing together, believe it or not. It happened once. When you go do shit like that, do you ever think of Jaws? Like when you're in a boat? Because it kind of makes more sense. Because most of that movie is shark versus boat. But
I think of it only. I'm not like on the boat thinking like, oh, what if a shark rams the boat and when we die? But like, there's just little things that happen that remind me of the movie. Like I used to date a girl whose dad had like a yacht, like a sailboat.
Oh, okay.
Like an old sailing vessel, and it had a long prow,
like the boat from Captain Ron.
Yeah, a lot like that.
Oh, cool! I love that fucking movie.
Captain Ron's great. It had a long prow with like at the bow of the boat with like a little walkway and like the little rope railing type thing. almost exactly like what was at the front of the orca. And then so of course I had to go all the way up to the front of it, turn my back to the sea, and just lean on this thing. I'm like, just for a moment, I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking Quint right now.
You got to hold a harpoon gun across it.
Stuff like that. I did not have a harpoon gun. I think I had a mop.
Man, that is that is a great scene too when they first see the shark and Hooper's trying to get Brody to go out onto the end of the prow for scale.
Yeah, he's yelling at him the whole time. He's like, no, are you crazy?
Fuck that. All right, man. Well, 50 years and we're still talking about it. People are still noticing things that they never noticed before. It's just one of those movies, man. It's never going to get old. It's never going to be dated. It just gets better and better and more classic every decade that goes by. And pretty soon, there ain't going to be an actor left alive who was in it.
Yeah, that's true.
In fact, I mean, Brody's dead. Quint's long dead. Hooper is the only one, I think, of the three. Yeah, he's the only one of the three who's still around.
Somewhere out there's a shark that's like, one of these days, you're mine.